What's up, everyone? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it is time to give you my final college football playoff projections heading into Conference Championship Weekend, also known as Week 14 of the 2022 college football season. Yes, the final college football playoff rankings do happen Sunday, and the top 4 teams will come out this Sunday as well. So I made a lot of changes here to my projections. Now I'm going to give you my official projections of what the standings would look like and the top 4 teams will look like based on those predictions that I did as well throughout this week. I gave you every single Power 5 Conference Championship game prediction this week, and now I'm going to give you my projections. So that's how it's going to work. And we heard rumors about a 12-team playoff bracket now being shaped up into the 2024 college football season. What do I think about it? Well, I really think it's pretty awesome. I think, it's going to be pretty good to see other teams. Instead of having like 4 teams in the playoff, we are now going to officially have 12 teams. And it's kind of like March Madness, but basically that's how the playoff is going to come out to be in the 2024 season. Yeah, I really am excited for that one. We got one more year of these 4-team playoff teams, and now we're heading into 12 teams. So, well, let's get right into it here with my college football playoff projections. Like I said, I made some changes here, and due to the conference championship games coming up this weekend, I had to put my real teams in here. So let's get right into it here. As you guys know, the number 1 versus number 4 seed will be held at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and then the number 2 versus number 3 matchup will be held at the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. We're going to start with the number 1 seed. I got them pretty easily winning their conference championship, and obviously they've been the dominant team all season long. And I'm going to stick with my pick. I'm going to stick with the Georgia Bulldogs as my number 1 seed. Yeah, they've just been completely dominating everybody this year. I know a couple weeks ago they didn't play well against Kentucky, but still, this team, sometimes they have a bad game. I mean, there's going to be times where, you have a bad game, and Georgia does have, some of those games this year. Georgia's not really as talented as they were last year, but they still are a dominant team no matter what. The defense has gotten better each and every single game in November as well, so now they're heading into December with a lot of hope to make the college football playoff. And I think they win that game against LSU pretty easily. I really don't see that game being all that close. I think they win that game probably by maybe 10 points or somewhere in that range, maybe 13. I have them winning that game by 13 points, so that was my pick for the LSU versus Georgia game for the SEC championship. All right, let's go to the number 2 seed now for the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, and they pulled off a huge win this past weekend, and I got them rolling in their conference championship game as well, and I think they make the playoff for the second year in a row. That's going to be Michigan. Michigan, the bad news for them is they don't have Blake Corum now. He's out for the rest of the year, so that's really bad news for Michigan. But, I think he can still probably win the Heisman if he's injured. But, yeah, just a great overall talented running back this season. He had high expectations for this Michigan team. And also, he had a chance to lead this team maybe to the national championship if they make it in there. Honestly, I think he would have dominated the rest of the way. Yeah, maybe he is the Heisman frontrunner right now. Basically because of the passing he has done. Maybe Caleb Williams is up there as well. But, yeah, overall, Blake Corum is going to be really dearly missed for Michigan. For Michigan, though, I got them beating Purdue in the Big Ten championship game, pretty much rolling in that game. And, without Blake Corum now, I think it's probably going to be a lot closer than I expected it. I think, without him now, it's going to be pretty tough, but I think Michigan can handle it like they did against Ohio State. Remember, Blake Corum did not get enough snaps against Ohio State, and Michigan rode over Ohio State in that game. It's going to come down to J.J. McCarthy in this game. If he can throw the football pretty well, I think Michigan will be really in good shape to win this game pretty big. All right, my number 3 seed, I got them winning their conference championship. Basically, all these 4 teams that are going to be in my playoff projections, I have them all winning their conference championship game. And that number 3 seed is going to be TCU. TCU, I have them winning the Big 12 championship over Kansas State. It's going to be a close game. If TCU can run the football on this Kansas State team, and also if they pass the football. And like I said, how the game's going to happen, I think they're going to come back in that game, and I think it's going to be probably similar to the games that they've had all year long, where they've had to come back from behind and win the game. So they had to come back from behind again, from all those games that they played this year. And that's going to be the same thing that I think will happen in that neutral site game against Kansas State. All these games that are being played, these three teams, Georgia, Michigan, and TCU, they're going to be playing tomorrow, so we'll find out who the number 4 seed is. But TCU, I think, will win by 3 in that game. I have them winning that one just by 3 points, maybe 24-21 type game. So, all right, my number 4 seed, I mean, this team is winning their conference championship. I have them winning theirs, but they go on tonight. They're out of the Pac-12, and I'm going to go with this pick. I'm going to pick USC as my number 4 seed. I think pretty much all these other sports channels have picked USC, to be the number 4 seed heading into the college football playoff. Yeah, I mean, USC, if they win the game, I mean, they're in, but if they lose that game, they're pretty much out of it, and Ohio State could be that new number 4 seed. Yeah, it's going to be a race for the number 4 seed. I think the only teams I see losing this weekend in their conference championship game would be USC and TCU. These are the only 2 teams I think I see losing this weekend. I think Georgia and Michigan are too dangerous to really make their games closer. I just think USC and TCU's games are a lot more tougher. I mean, you look at Utah. USC is trying to look for revenge in this game, and that game is going on tonight. That's the only conference championship game that is going on tonight. That game is at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Let me guys know who you picked to win that game. And I did pick USC to win. I did pick them to win in a high-scoring game, and I think USC will win in that shootout like they always do sometimes. So those are my 4 teams for conference championship weekend. Now let's give you a prediction if these games were to happen tomorrow. Georgia versus USC here in the Peach Bowl. This would be a good one. I mean, an offensive game, I think USC is the offense that can score points on this Georgia team, but will it be enough to really get past this defensive Georgia? The defensive line can stop the run pretty well. I mean, USC can run the football just a little bit, but they can't really maybe pass this Georgia defensive line. And remember, Georgia's only given up about 70-something yards of rushing this season, and also they're only giving up 11 points. I think they hold USC to maybe under 20 points, perhaps. Maybe, in the 20s somehow, but this is how the game, I think, will go down. I think Georgia does win by a close one, and I think the Bulldogs do win this one if this game were to happen tomorrow, so they move on to the national championship for back-to-back years. Then we got Michigan versus TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. It's a pretty good matchup, but, I think Michigan just a little bit too dangerous. I mean, offensively and defensively, they're both really good on both sides of the ball. And they're pretty much in top 10, in rankings on both sides of the ball. So, yeah, Michigan, I know they're without Blake Corum, but, I mean, I think they can roll over this game. They got other talented running backs as well, and I think Michigan is going to win this game. Not really a close game. I don't really believe it will be. And I think Michigan will move on to the national championship. So this is how it's going to play out for me if these games were to happen tomorrow. We got Georgia versus Michigan in the national championship game. A rematch from last year's semifinals, and I've had these 2 teams for quite a while now in the top 2, or maybe, the national championship game now. This game is going to be close. I think it's really closer than it was last year because last year was just not really all that close. I think Michigan's offense can score some points, but the injury to Blake Corum really concerns me for Michigan's running game. I don't really think they can run the football in this Georgia team anymore, so I'm going to stay with my pick here. The same kind of pick that I've had for the last few weeks now, and that's going to be the Georgia Bulldogs. I think Georgia wins the national championship game if this game were to happen this weekend. So I got Georgia winning it back-to-back years. I think Georgia obviously will be number 1. I think Michigan will be number 2. TCU will be number 3. I have them winning the Big 12 championship, and then I got USC winning tonight. So let me guys know what you think about these projections. What do you think the top 4 teams will look like after conference championship weekend is over? And then we'll give a reaction to that, to these top 4 teams on Sunday perhaps. So, and watch out for that Pac-12 championship game tonight, USC versus Utah. It's an 8 o'clock game. And then stay tuned here for more on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.